Welcome to Your Next Best Step with Breck Cockrell, the locker room for purpose-driven leaders. This is where we slow down, reflect, and take our next best steps through real stories, practical strategies, and rooted leadership wisdom. Remember, the best leaders need a coach in their corner.
Well, welcome to Your Next Best Step podcast, and welcome to the locker room. It's the locker room by day, the lounge by night, and when the kids come over, Charlie, it's Pop's Clubhouse. And so glad to have my special guest, special friend, Charlie Mitchell in the locker room today. So welcome.
Yo, thanks for having me, bro. This is really exciting, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I know this has been a journey for you, so I'm excited to hop on.
Man, I mean, you just think about, we'll talk about a little bit, when you think about the iterations of yous and me's and all the things that we've been through and thought about and dreamed together and you know, all this stuff. And here we are. I'm up here in the below. You are presently, where are you at right now?
So I'm in Fort Myers. So we've come full circle since we first met.
When we first met. When I first met you, I think summer of 2011.
Yeah.
You and your wife and your one son at the time.
That's right. That's right.
Was living down in Fort Myers. And you know, a little bit about Charlie and I's connection. I was a church planter in the city of Buffalo, and Charlie was down in Fort Myers and had an interest in church planting in the hood and had a lot of different influences going on in his life. And we had a mutual friend, and he said, "Hey man, you ought to go check up this church called Renovation Church up in Buffalo." And we had never met. I think a phone call or something like that, and said, "Come on up, Charlie." And so you guys, you and your wife and your son came up.
Yep.
And it happened to be during what we call summer jam.
That's right.
It was in hot July, hot. I remember that, man. We didn't have AC up in that joint.
Right.
And, I said, "Charlie, you're speaking on Sunday." You know, we had hardly even talked.
That's
Charlie,
right.
And I need for you to speak Sunday.
That's right.
I want our folks to hear you. And my brother John had his crew from Scotts Hill, about 100, 110, 15 teenagers and college students rolling in there, living on our campus. We were serving the city by day and having this kind of crazy vacation Bible school for families on steroids kind of thing at night. We called it Summer Jam. But I'll never forget. I asked you, I said, "Yo, man, what are you wearing?" And I think you'd said, "Man, I got pants and a shirt."
Yeah.
Like, bro, it ain't gonna last. You need to go up to Target, get you some shorts and a t-shirt. Maybe get 3 t-shirts because you're gonna sweat through that thing.
That's right.
Sure enough, you did.
Yeah. So we literally, Target didn't work because they ain't got my big and tall sizes. So we ended up at Burlington, and I might still have the N1 basketball shorts and a white t-shirt. It was like literally stripped down, as casual as can be. The other piece was it was in the round.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I never preached in the round before. So it's like stage in the middle of a room. No AC, and probably 300 people in this building.
It was packed. All 3 of them. Yeah.
So
We had tables and chairs kind of all around. It was a little bit of a chaotic mess. People, dogs walking in, and
that's right.
People walking through. Up on the stage was only about that high, so it wasn't much of a stage, but it was a center point that would hopefully tell people, "Hey, don't when the dude's up speaking, don't walk across that 8x8 stage. But that didn't always stop them, you know?
Right, 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 right. Yeah, nah, your church was a different vibe, bro. You know what I'm saying? That was a different vibe. It was a baptism by fire for sure. And
Yeah.
shout out to you because you had never heard me preach or nothing. I could have got up there, fumbled. I'm sure you're still discombobulated, but it's still like in the round, in shorts and a t-shirt. Summer Jam was just its own vibe. It's like nonstop. It's crazy. Kids everywhere doing all this stuff. World's longest Sunday ice cream Sunday, whatever it was
Banana
that day.
split. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. World's longest banana split. The whole thing.
Oh,
Get
man.
there Sunday morning, you sweat through your preaching, and you crash on the back end. So
Oh,
yeah,
man.
and y'all fit a chance for me and Aaron to go see Niagara Falls for the
Niagara
first time.
Falls.
So y'all fit that all in there too.
Yeah, man. Well, it wasn't like any church that I grew up in or you grew up in.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. For
So,
sure.
man, that started a great friendship, and that still connects to this day.
That's right.
And man, you had a heart for, I mean, kind of give us a little backstory about Charlie growing up at Fort Myers, just so the listeners understand a little bit about the context, how it is that you're able to walk into all different kind of spaces and
Yeah.
connect with different faces of all different colors, backgrounds. And it was a lot of the kind of the background that, the context that you grew up in down in Fort Myers.
Yeah. Man, it's I shouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff that I do. My parents were small town people. Grew up in the Jim Crow South. So my dad was a commercial fisherman, a shrimper by trade. Grew up outside of Charleston on a little island called Wadmalaw. Didn't get past the eighth grade education, but that was his profession up until just before he passed away. And my mom was a little small town, so she grew up here in Fort Myers, but in a neighborhood called Harlem Heights, where she was grew up as a kid as a sharecropper. And so these small town folks, like that was their world. It's family, and you got your cousins, your aunts, uncles, grandparents, all of that. Everybody lived out here in the neighborhood, and that should have been it. My mom broke that by getting radically saved, came to Jesus. Of course, that put us on a way different trajectory with, you're going to church 2 or 3 nights a week, traditional Pentecostal black church, one big room, two sets of pews, aisle down the middle type of deal. Um, and that was kind of supposed to be our life. Black church, black neighborhood, and this is just going to be your life, and that's your situation. But my dad passed away from stomach cancer, and after that, my mom really was concerned about my mental well-being, just because she noticed a couple things. One was young men in that church tradition, as they got into those teenage years, they'd buck their parents and never show back up at the church,
Yeah.
So she's worried about that. That ain't gonna happen to my son selling drugs and all that kind of stuff. Second was I was really close with my dad, and she wanted to make sure that I got some kind of care, some kind of mental health care, counsel, whatever, that was going to help me to not get stuck in that, right? And so the strategy was to send me to youth group at a different church. So we
Okay.
ended up at First Assembly. And so First Assembly was the stark opposite
Yes.
of Jerusalem Church of God in Christ, okay?
Yes.
So First Assembly was massive,
Yeah.
thousands of people, and it was all white, largely white. They are Assembly of God, so it's charismatic. So you got
Yeah.
some different cultures in there, but it's still kind of very evangelical, big deal, lights, camera, action. And that was for her. I want Charlie to get the care that he needs, somebody that can translate the gospel for him.
Yeah.
They did that for me, radically transformed my life. Took me on my first missions trip when I was 15 to Belgium,
Wow.
and that changed everything.
Changed it.
That changed
Flip
everything.
the script, man, right there.
Right. Because we had our old Buicks. We traveled to go see family. We didn't really go on vacation like that. Vacation was kind of like, hey, we're gonna go to Miami to see your cousins,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But then to go one summer to a different nation to do work,
Yeah.
it just expands your worldview in such a way to where like I can't unsee it. And
Mm.
so now you got new friends, you got new experiences, and you realize you got new possibility.
Oh, wow.
And that began a new trajectory of kind of me getting into ministry, but also cross cultures
Yeah.
and us eventually meeting down the road.
Yeah. And you have this really artistic like part of you, man, that Charlie, that just comes out in so many ways. Uh and I know that you guys eventually you went across seas and did some ministry long-term like
Yeah. Yep.
missionary work with our guy Reg,
Yep. Yep.
and met your wife on that, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so all of that coming back, and then fast forward, um, I know that you tell the story of your mom passing, that was a real like mile marker in your life, and the kind of responsibility that you then bore for your family. Why don't you share a little bit with our listeners on that?
Yeah. That was a huge turning point. We did after I graduated high school, I did 2 years in Copenhagen, Denmark, and that's what you were talking about. I met Aaron. We started dating there. We came back from there, got married relatively about a year after we moved back to the States. My whole goal was now that I know what it's like out there in the world, that's where I'm going to be. I'm
Mm,
not coming back to this small town. I'm
yeah,
not coming back to this small neighborhood. The world is my oyster, and I'm going to take it over.
yeah.
So I moved back here just literally to get married, probably go to Bible college, get a degree. And within a year of us moving back, my mom passes away suddenly,
Mm,
June 6, 2005. And from there, I had a younger brother. He was 11 or 12, and my little sister was 16. They were orphans. And so me and my wife ended up taking them in and raising them through their high school years. So
mm.
that of course changes everything you think you're going to do, what your plans
Right.
were, all of that. So Europe is off the table now, and we've kind of got to figure out where we're going to go as far as ministry, life, all our dreams, and all of that, because a lot of that stuff just got sidetracked from what we expected.
Yeah. Man, and so then fast forward to we connected in 2011,
Yeah.
and at that time, were you still having some responsibility with your siblings?
At that point, Isaiah might have still been living with us, but it was
Yeah,
probably close to the end. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Isaiah was probably still living with us. Yeah,
yeah,
because we moved away from here in 2015. So yeah, he probably was with us another three, maybe 4 years.
right. So
Yeah.
in that, when we first connected, you were asking questions with me about like, hey, and one of the reasons why you came up, and was just you were curious about you'd seen church one way, and you were asking questions of some people about, hey, is there any other kind of approaches that a city church in the hood could
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
and so that's what connected you to renovation,
Yeah.
if I remember
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. We had at that point, I knew I had been introduced to missions, so I knew in my heart I was a missionary. So
Mm,
this idea of going after people and then learning culture, learning their language, and then translating the gospel in a way that they can understand it. That was the whole mentality. You have to learn that if you're going to go in the international missions or you're going to go cross cultural. Well, here I am back in my mom's old house
mm,
due to all kinds of circumstances. Her house was in probate, all the things. I'm back in the neighborhood renovating her house, and I'm sitting out on the front porch or whatever, looking out and seeing that pattern replay itself of my friends that we grew up together, they didn't go to college like we all thought they would. Now they got kids. Everybody's life, life just doesn't go how you think it'll go. But what I was seeing was that pattern of that aimlessness of just wandering around the neighborhood. And so I'm sitting out there working on my mom's house, and I sense the Lord say, "Hey, Charlie, I want you to be a missionary to your people." And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not feeling it. Just because I'm thinking, yo, there's no cool factor to that. Like I was in Europe. I'm traveling to Romania. I went to Portugal. I can go to Germany. I mean, my big flex is we would go to Sweden for lunch. We would get up in the morning, chill, get breakfast, hang out, and then if I want to go to Sweden, I go to Sweden. I come back in town for dinner.
Yeah.
Like that was our big flex.
Yeah.
So to come back from all of that and to be like, "Nah, I want you to be a missionary to your people."
Mm.
And so I had gotten this heart of the gospel is not just for salvation, it was for transformation. That it transformed. That's what discipleship is. And so when I started to see my friends, my peers wandering like that, I just said to myself, man, Lord, something's got to be done. And that's when I heard that kind of, I want you to be a missionary to your people. Take those same skills you had learned overseas and bring them right back here.
Yeah.
And so I pushed back against that. But as my eyes started to open up to it and I started to share that more and learn more, that's when I got kind of connected to you probably 1 or 2 years later, because I'm going, okay, my mentor said to me, Charlie, if you gather disciples, if you make disciples in your neighborhood, what do you call that group of disciples when you bring them together? I don't know, a small group? And I'm like, he's like, yeah, but a little bit more than that. I'm like, I don't know, like, bro, he's like, Charlie, what is a group of disciples that worships together? I don't know, like a ministry? He's like, Charlie, it's a church. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what's that got to do with anything? He was like, man, have you ever considered planting a church? I said, planting a church? What is that? Like, I thought churches just existed.
Right.
And so he introduced me to this world of church planting. And in that, I said, man, the guys that I'm reaching, the people I want to care about, that I'm trying to translate the gospel to, they don't fit in traditional churches. And they ain't coming to me. They're not coming with me to these large white churches either. Therefore, I've got to have a different expression. But I don't see that here. There's not a lot of diversity of expressions around here.
Yeah.
And so that's what got me up to Buffalo was Todd Milby was like, man, you got to meet this guy Breck, because he's doing something I think that you will resonate with that could help you. And that's when we connected, just because I'm like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
I've done church, we've done ministry, we've done all kinds of stuff, but the unique expression of making disciples in inner city and urban communities, it's got its own playbook. It's got its own language, its own way of being. And so I needed to get around people that understood that and were at least 3 steps ahead of me.
Yeah. What, one of the things that I often talk about, it's one of my top 3 values, is to be radically curious. And as I just know you have an internal, curiosity toward things, lots of things, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about the power and the value of curiosity, and let's just say specifically, there's probably not very many listeners that were church planners, but you're entrepreneurial, right? You're carrying,
That's right.
As a French word, it's carrying the load, right?
That's right.
Carrying the burden. So whatever it is, if as a teacher, you're carrying a burden, as a small, business operator, as a church planter, you're thinking about, hey, the gospel isn't just for one day, it's for this day. It's not for forever and ever, one day, which it is, but it's to transform our lives today. The gospel has the power to change everything about us.
That's right.
What value of curiosity do you see for leaders, no matter what it is they're thinking about? When you're thinking about, like, you're like, okay, let me repackage church planting, what church could look like.
Yeah.
They could do that in whatever context they're in. What kind of value does curiosity play, you think?
That's significant, because if if you really want to be effective, if you really want what you're doing to have an impact on people, you can't just do what everybody else is doing. You've got to give it a different way of being. You've got to position yourself differently. And so that sense of asking questions and going back to the core of what is it that I'm actually trying to do?
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, I wasn't interested in preaching sermons.
mm,
Like that wasn't the goal for
yeah.
me, was to like, all right, I'm gonna just start preaching sermons every week. Nah. My goal was to like really build relationships, really establish a new community, help people to actually live out their God-given capacity and dream. Now, that language I just used, I had to really kind of wrestle with God, not only God, but just the idea of what is the purpose of church?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of having this good news? What are the implications of it? So I had to ask a lot of questions,
Mm,
had to really kind of tinker and get around a different group of people to help me to think through what is it I'm really trying to do here. And so it doesn't matter if you're a business owner. McDonald's doesn't sell burgers that are the best burgers. We've all heard this, right? It's not the best burger, but you know what it is? It's convenient. It's
mm,
quick.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It ain't even cheap no more. That
Oh,
was once a value, but that ain't a value no more.
right.
But for them to know I'm gonna get the same burger no matter if I'm in Nebraska, Florida, Texas,
Or
Ohio,
Denmark.
or Denmark, I'm gonna get the same burger
Yeah.
and it's gonna come out relatively quickly. Right? That's what they're selling is convenience. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I wanted um, to see life transformation take place. I'm
Mm,
just creating an incubator for that to happen.
yeah.
But if you're not asking those kinds of questions, if you're not wrestling with that, that's where the curiosity goes, because it takes you down different pathways. It's going to force you to bump into different people and have different kinds of conversation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get trapped in the same.
Yeah. I think one of the things that you and I have talked a lot about is our posture as leaders. Do we have a posture of certainty or a posture of curiosity?
That's right.
Right. And certainty, there is, you're certain that this is the right way. You're certain that people, that this is what they need. You're certain. And the more certain you are about most things, it keeps you from actually being able to grow, scale. Think about my brother Thad. I know you and we've spent a lot of
Had some
nice
great
evenings.
adventures.
So, yes, together. And so Thad's his song on The Kid, the first song on there.
Yep.
He tells the story that he was reading a book. His friend Don sent him this book on story, and it was on preface, the chapter on preface, and it said every great novel, every great story starts with the question, "What if?"
Come on, man. Yeah.
And he wrote this song, and it's incredible. But I often think about that song, "What if?" For leaders, when was the last time we stopped and said, "What if? What if we didn't have to do it that way? What if I took that approach? What if I went ahead and did that? What if I stopped this? What if we stopped doing this and started doing that?" That question, "what if," is at the core of curiosity.
That's
And I
right.
think when I think about your journey,
Yeah.
uh, what if that question, even though it may not have been the question you were asking, it was
Yeah.
kind of the internal driver,
That's
uh,
right.
that kind of helped you. And then fast forward, we connected again. The next time we connected really in person was you was over in Camden.
That's
You
right.
had moved from Fort Myers, and you thought, well, let me let me go to Camden, New Jersey, and you were partnering up with the guys over at Epiphany. Tell us a little bit of that story and kind
Yeah,
of why
man.
you did that.
Yeah, we tried to figure it out on your own. So curiosity only it can get you so far. Like so it got me around a new set of friends. It got me asking questions. It got me experimenting. So I did stuff in my neighborhood. We did stuff It was called the Chop Shop. So we'd meet monthly and chop it up in the neighborhood about different topics and issues. I try to connect faith, and I helped plant a church down here. I was on the team there. That only gets you so far. But I had built a relationship with some guys up in New Jersey and in Philadelphia, and that was the Epiphany crew. And so when we reconnected, I was living in Camden at that point, plotting on planting a church somewhere else. But the opportunity was that I got to embed in a community and be a part of their team where I didn't have to figure all this stuff out by myself.
Yeah.
So it was the Epiphany Camden residency. So me, and at that point we had 3 kids. So me, my wife, and my 3 kids moved up there to be a part of the residency in the hopes of having a group of folks kind of look at our life and our skill set to be able to say, hey, do y'all really have it outside of just a hope, a dream,
Yeah.
and asking great questions? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do y'all got the skills? Do you got the resilience? Do you have the, just the ability? And so yeah, that's when we reconnected, because I'm like, yo, Brett, I'm up here a little bit closer to you.
Yeah. And so I went over there, hung out with you guys, saw your world in that space, and then shortly after that, you and Aaron and Trevor and so you guys went over to the to Baltimore.
Yep.
And man, God put a vision in your heart for the city of Baltimore, really in a pretty tumultuous time for the city of Baltimore, right? This was like
Yep.
what, 2016, 17. You
Yep.
had, the riots, Freddie Gray, all that was kind of happening
Yep.
as you were headed over that way.
That's right.
And tell us a little bit about that journey, because I think it's just interesting. I think for leaders, some of us think that there's this preferred pathway that we're going on and we got to have it all figured out. And
Yeah.
I don't know, about all people, but I know that's not been my journey. And
That's
it
right.
certainly doesn't sound like it's your journey. So tell us a little bit about Baltimore and what you guys did there.
Yeah, like I said, we went to Camden with no plan of what would come next. So we're just asking, hey, assess us and tell us if we've got the capacity and the skill to plant a church in an inner city or urban community. Now, while there, we did some different cities, surveys, all of that, built a team, and Baltimore came out on top as a city. Essentially, my wife was willing to go to. All right, so that wasn't all that deep or
Let's keep it
special,
real.
and you know what I mean. Like I gave her, it wasn't the best moment in my vision casting, but it was the worst 10 cities in America. Baltimore was one of them, and that's where my wife was willing to go. All right. So we get there, 2015, the Freddie Gray riots. We moved there 2016 and launched the church in 2017. And yeah, the city was wild at that point, because post Freddie Gray, the murder rate had gone through the roof. The police were essentially, they kind of took their hands off and just said, hey, y'all do your thing. We kind of don't care. There was tension between the police department and the district attorney at that time. So they didn't feel like they were being supported and all of that. So it was kind of the Wild Wild West to be going into a city where we were parachuting in, no friends or relationships. I was able to recruit one couple from Camden. That was Trevor and Melissa. So they rolled with us from Camden to Baltimore City, and we started from scratch. No friends, no connections, no whatever, with the dream of starting this brand new church from scratch.
Man, it was incredible. I mean, a bold step of faith and of courage. And then you guys got to be more. And, once again, this idea of curiosity.
That's
You
right.
know, you're from Fort Myers.
Yeah,
Like, hey, Fort Myers playbook ain't going to be Baltimore's playbook.
that's right.
Camden, some
That's right.
similarities, but very different.
Very
Now
different.
you're in a new hood, a new context. You're
Yeah.
building. So once again, this theme of curiosity, of posturing yourself, of I mean, there's a framework I use. It's the four E's, and it's explore,
That's right.
examine,
Mm-hmm.
expose,
Mm-hmm.
elevate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And too many times uh we don't do the first two, and we just try to expose what we think. We're
Right.
new, we're relocating, we see an issue. That
That's right.
must be the issue. That must be the problem.
That's right.
And then we try to fix it, right? And then
By
it
elevating our
goes,
agenda or whatever the heck, maybe,
yeah. And so that usually, doesn't go well.
that's right.
But when we start with just being, let's explore curiosity,
That's right.
right? And so I remember you guys went, you explored Baltimore. You were kicking the tires. You're like, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
bro. Yeah, yeah. So before we moved there, we would take day trips, Trevor and I, just riding around the city, neighborhood after neighborhood. Man, hold on, shoot, I got it right here.
I love it. Just pull it up, unpacked out of the box, still in the box.
Hey, watch this. So Trevor, Trevor and I created. This is a list of all the Baltimore neighborhoods. This is a document we made. So it's two of them. Like that's how many neighborhoods there are in Baltimore.
Good night.
Distinct. And so you're talking about just exploring um golly, Gwen Falls and Franklin Road. And I mean, demographics, finances, all of that. So you're talking about um, exploring the city, figuring out the nuances of it, rolling around, asking questions, just not assuming we know anything. Like all I knew was The Wire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trevor and Melissa would go down for dates. You know the Inner Harbor, and you might know the Orioles or something or the
Yeah.
Ravens. But outside of that, you really got to get exposed to, oh man, I really got to sit with these folks. I really got to ask them questions. And so many of our assumptions would come crashing down, but
Yeah.
we would get great insight because we would just be curious. We get corrected if you talk too boldly, acting like you know what you think you know. Baltimoreans are going to correct you and all of
Mhm.
that. But so that we would actually create a space where people's lives could be transformed. Like
Yeah.
that's still my goal.
Yeah.
But if it's all about me, my agenda, and my assumptions, man, it's gonna be ineffective. Or
Mm.
it's just gonna attract more people just like me.
Yeah.
I ain't come here for people that came from Fort Myers that are living in this city. No, I don't want transplants. I wanted Baltimoreans.
Yeah.
So therefore, I needed to sit at their feet before I could become an expert on their stuff, you know?
I think what's interesting, Charlie, is and I don't know if the listeners have picked up on this, but you're black, I'm white. And so it's one of those things that I think sometimes we don't talk publicly about, but you and I have had so many conversations about contextualizing. And this is what I know is like, the whiteness that I share, like there's a difference between white folks that lives in Riverside here and people and white folks that live in Orchard Park and white folks that live in Kenmore and
Yeah,
and the city of Baltimore is predominantly a black city,
that's right.
right? And
Yeah.
so what I thought was so interesting is as we think about the context as you as a black man rolling up into the city, you could have assumed that you knew, I mean, you knew how to roll up in that place, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah,
would
yeah.
know what the answers are to their questions and what the answers are to their pain points. And we have a similar kind of mentor, Dr. John Perkins out of
That's right.
Mendenhall, Mississippi, who came up with CCD, the Christian Community Development, the eight essentials. And,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those essentials was if you're relocating
Hmm.
into a community,
That's right.
specifically like a poor, under-resourced, undervalued community, if you're a relocator, it is key. And one of them is you got to listen to the community.
That's what you got to do.
And he would frame it this way, and Coach Gordon I remember him teaching us this in his breakout. He says this is what it is to listen. You listen, reflect, respond.
Mm-hmm.
And for most of us who are relocating and we have some kind of agenda, whether it's a church or it's a restaurant or it's a bookstore or whatever,
Right.
and we're rolling into that kind of context, and maybe we've come from a community or someplace that has more resources, that's upwardly mobile. All of a sudden we assume that we know what time it is and the answer to all of that community's problems. And he would always say, he said, no, you got to listen, reflect, and then respond, versus, oh, we're going to respond, and when that doesn't go well, we might need to reflect, and then we go, oh, maybe I should have listened first, right? But that's what you did when you guys went to Baltimore.
Bruh, black ain't black. Now that sounds strange. I know, because I'm black and I'm from my community, my culture, my background. But black in the Fort Myers is not the same black as it is in Miami. It's not the same black person you meet in Charleston. It's not the same black person you meet in Charlotte. And it's definitely not the same person you meet in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And they have distinct characteristics. They have distinct ways of talking, ways of thinking. Now, are there a lot of similarities? Yes. We got Big Mama, and we're going to listen to hip hop music, and we might have family reunions, and we might cook certain mac and cheese and collard greens. So yeah. You're going to get some of those generalities like that. But like you said, when you're coming into a community, they have their distinct things. And if you don't care about that, you're going to miss the boat. And so we see this with a lot of leaders, influencers, business owners. They have an assumption about what their client wants. Yo, I don't need you to think for me. Take some time. I'll tell you what I need. I'll literally tell you what it is that I'm looking for. I'll literally say, hey, we don't do that around here. We don't act like that around here. Prime example is we were doing a outreach one day. We're trying to meet our neighbors, like meet people on the street, talk to them, get some information. Kind of like we can't afford to do a focus group, so we're trying to do something. And Trevor had came from New Jersey, and so what we call, you probably know it as an Italian ice. You probably know the little icy with the little spoon. You know what I mean? The little frozen cup, flavored ice.
Yeah.
He calls it water ice. That's what it's called in New Jersey. Now that doesn't make sense to me.
It don't make no sense. Water ice, of course, it's water ice. That's the only kind of ice there is.
Right. Down here, we've got Rita's Italian ice.
Yeah.
You got Rita, like, okay, Italian ice. So if I'm on the street and I say, hey, man, would you like some water ice? No. Because it sounds foreign. I'm not going to say it sounds dumb because we want to honor other people's culture.
Yes.
So it just sounds foreign. Doesn't make sense, right?
Yes.
When we started to say Italian ice, that got a little bit more resonance. But you know what they say in Baltimore? Snowball.
Come on.
So when we started saying that, oh, yeah, absolutely. But we spent the first hour getting rejected by every person that walked by because we weren't talking their language.
Oh, man.
Why? Because we assumed we understood their position, their posture, their language, because we all are black. No. Baltimore has its own unique characteristics, and until you learn that, you're not going to have the influence that you would like.
Wow. That's so good. So, man, things were going well. I mean, not easy, hard, but you guys were doing it. And then all of a sudden, something came kind of out of left field as regarding your health.
Yeah. So it was it came pretty much as we moved to Baltimore. Is I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease, and so within 3 weeks of moving to Baltimore, I got that diagnosis and spent 5 days in the hospital. Obviously, that changes how you're thinking about whatever endeavor you're a part of.
Yeah.
Because we just moved our family to a foreign city that we don't know anybody. We don't have a lot of relationships. We don't know where Walmart, Target is. Like we still got boxes in our house. And now I've got a chronic illness with 3 young children and a wife. And we're here on the benefit and gifts of others. So people are donating to this mission.
Yeah.
With the hopes of building something that'll become self-sustainable. So that's a complex problem to try to untangle right there.
Yeah.
Right. In and of itself, starting a business is risky business. Starting a business in a city that you've never been before, even riskier. Starting something that's dependent on the generosity of strangers, even riskier. And then starting something in a foreign city with people you don't know is even riskier. So it's like there's no reason this should succeed. And now I've got a chronic illness. And so your mortality is in question, all the different things. And so it just creates this kind of humble dependence because you realize how fragile you really are. I can't control a whole lot.
Yeah.
My kidneys are going to steadily decline over time. And if I'm not intentional about where I spend my money, where I build a team, where we locate ourselves, all of that stuff, this is all for nothing. And I can end up on dialysis, right? So it's all like, this is not a good situation. And so, that health crisis that kind of came out of that, it forced us to focus our efforts, I would say.
Yeah.
Just because I realized I'd had no fallback plan. There was no plan B.
Yeah.
To go back home to what? No mama, no daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's no safety net. There's no $1 million trust fund. It's like, yo, you're here and you gotta make it happen. If not, this was a whole entire waste of time and your whole family's in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward, man, Epiphany, Baltimore got off the ground. You're managing your own health. You
Yep.
got 3 little kiddos that are growing,
Yep.
and it's doing good work. A couple of years in, you realize you fought the good fight. You've really taken serious your health. Now all of a sudden you got a transplant opportunity that you took advantage of.
Yeah. So we planted Epiphany, got it up and running. Of course, 2 years later, COVID came. We were in COVID lockdown for as long as we had existed prior to that. So probably about 18 to 20 months we were locked down. Did some creative stuff, was able to grow the church in spite of all of that. And then in the midst of that, once my kidneys got down to about 10%, kind of put out a call, just saying, hey, I'm in need of a transplant. And out of that, a woman donated her kidney. And took kind of that opportunity, had to. It was either transplant or dialysis. In dialysis, your body is not made to have its blood outside of itself and run through a machine a few times a week. So, but in the midst of that, we had to get creative because I said, yo, Epiphany is not going to be here. The work that we've done and established in the neighborhood amongst these folks, we've got great momentum. We're doing well. We've got teams established. But if I'm not here, we need to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
But not only what's next, how do we scale up from just survival mode or just from one step to the next? And so that's when we started thinking very differently. So you're talking about curiosity. We had to start thinking way outside the box on how do we really make something like this happen if the lead guy can no longer be the lead guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I remember the transplant was successful.
Yep.
In the midst of that, there was an opportunity for two churches to merge,
Right.
leadership, all of
Right.
that. Coming out of your transplant, you had to take care of yourself and
That's right.
really spend time just rehabbing your body emotionally,
That's right.
physically, all of that. And then there was a moment I remember us talking about, like, talk about your next best step. You literally were trying to figure out, I'm not sure
Hmm.
that staying here, continuing this is our best next step
Right.
for me, my family, all of that.
Right.
And you had to make a pretty big decision that then uh, moved you guys back down to Fort Myers.
Yeah. Once you listen, we got Epiphany up and running. We merged the congregations, brought two congregations together. One and when I was out in recovery, y'all were able to keep rolling without me. Um, Once you finally get that chance to slow down and pause, you start to ask questions again,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why? Because I'm not burdened by the tyranny of the urgent the same
Mm-hmm.
way. Now the things that I've been able to suppress, I can't suppress anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm solar powered. I'm born and raised in Florida. Every winter I'd be in my basement shaking my head just like, Lord, if there's a way, you know what I mean? And so I'd intentionally take trips every February, but that was the peak of winter in Baltimore. Like I'd come down to Florida for something. I'd make an
Yeah.
excuse just to get out of. And so while I was there, I had a conversation with my cousin while I was in recovery. And one of the things he said to me was, Charlie, we are duty driven as a family. And you have given your life to sacrifice on behalf of others. Um, Man, I want to commend you for that. But because we're so duty driven, why don't you consider taking this gift that you've been given of a new life, a second chance at life, really taking it and enjoying it, like maximizing whatever opportunity you've been given. Now, mind you, you've heard the story, lived in Europe, married, traveled, this, that. So I'm thinking, oh, I don't have the burden of my health being in crisis. Now I can really run with this church stuff and all of that. But he doubled down and said, "Man, if you need to travel, if you need to move, whatever it is, man, I want you to do that. Like, feel free to do that."
Yeah.
Man, I said, "Man, cuz we got to stop talking. We laughing, cutting up. I'm holding my stitches. I'm in recovery." Man, within weeks, he passed away, and that was our last conversation.
Wow.
And I said to myself, man, I, I want to be able to honor Peter in our conversation. Because I
Mm.
said, Peter, I hear you, bro. I hear you. And it's one of those, I hear you, but I'm going to still do my thing.
Yeah.
And it was the day before my 40th birthday. And I was watching his funeral. Couldn't even go because I was still under quarantine. And so I just said, Lord, I would love to go back south if I could.
Mm.
But you got to make a way. But the church is doing well. So I don't know what else I can do. I don't know whatever. But man, if that's possible. And that began this journey of just saying, hey, Charlie, you have given to others, but
Mm.
maybe there is more in you that I want to draw out of you that is not dependent on the approval of other people, the sacrifice. Like I had this mentality, you got to sacrifice, you got to give up everything. It's got to be hard. It's got to be difficult. All of that kind of stuff. These are all kind of things. Some of it you pick up from poverty. Some of you pick up from scarcity. Some of it you just pick up from doing ministry stuff. It's
Yeah.
got to be small. It's got to be rough. It's got to be. And this was finally one of those moments where I said, you know what? God, if you got my back and you're not disappointed in me no matter what I do, what if we
Mm.
started to redream what life could look like? with the skills that you've given me.
Yeah.
And that's what started the trajectory back down. I didn't know it was going to be Fort Myers, but back down here doing the work that we're doing that I could have never imagined
Yeah.
a year and a half ago when we had that conversation.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things I know in my own life, you know, I say that I've said this is that, you know, um, sometimes God leaves you some cake crumbs, right? And sometimes they're hard to follow because they're really small. And then sometimes he leaves big old chunks of birthday cake that you go, I think that's a God thing right there.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that's all the journey. Like, just keep following. I like cake more than I do bread. So follow the
Right.
cake
Right.
crumbs, right? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I think that's kind of it's what it sounds and feels like. We've talked about, you know, well, what are the things? And and I just remember you giving me a call. You had been once again down in Florida, Fort Myers on vacation,
That's
and you've
right.
been thinking about possibility like do we move, but I don't know what I'm going to do, and I don't know how I'm going to support the family, and and it seemed like a dream that you had had for
Yeah.
Baltimore. That dream, like sometimes those dreams feel like a detour,
That's right.
and sometimes you got to grieve.
That's
Like,
right.
man, I've worked so hard for this dream to happen.
That's
And
right.
sometimes God's going, yeah, that was part of it, but that's not the biggest part.
That's right.
Like sometimes there's more, even though we don't even want to recognize there's more
That's right.
on the other side of sometimes what feels like detours or complete stops,
Mm.
right? And I know that that was a dream. And yet here you are, you're giving me a call. Yo, B, I think I got an answer.
That's
And
right.
literally within a day of
Today.
conversation, you started the
Yeah.
day with nothing and you finished the day with enough income from various scenarios that you go, I think we're moving back down to Fort Myers.
That's right, bro. It's crazy. So that I mean, and it's interesting because, like you said, if we want our lives to go linearly, and
Mm,
it doesn't work like that.
no.
It doesn't work like that. And but I don't know if I want to. Every movie I love, every great story I like to read, is never linear.
Yeah.
Never up and to the right. That's a boring story,
Yes.
right? But it's when they get
Storylines, plot
right.
lines, different people coming in,
Come
out.
on.
That's
Yeah,
yes.
there's characters that come in and out. There's conflict. There's disappointment. There's these to be continued moments. Cliffhangers. Are they gonna make it out of this? That's the whole point, and that's what gives life and leadership the excitement that it really gives you. Now, when you're in it, it don't feel exciting.
No.
So we're not gonna act like it's something different than it is. But man, I'm telling you, we went from you counseling and coaching me in my backyard, bro. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I've been a pastor for all these years. I'm a planner. That era is done, man. But I know here I'm gonna go to vacation back down here, get some sunshine. We'll see what happens. And literally, like you said, started the morning with a conversation. Hey, we're thinking about coming down here. Are there any opportunities? Yes, we want you. But there's not enough. Okay. I leave that meeting, call Dave Rosa, call Dave, say, hey, Dave, just had a great meeting with this church. I think they want to partner with me to maybe bring me down, but it ain't enough money for me and the fam right now. He's like, really? Fort Myers? I said, yeah, Fort Myers if it's got to be, but they're the first ones to put an offer on the table. He's like, bruh, it's crazy because we've got money set aside for soul care in Fort Myers. Bruh, if you're serious, I'm gonna call my director, whatever, and I'm gonna call you back. Now, you and I both know how ministry conversations can go. Could be the sweetest thing. Sound like you got some traction. You don't hear nothing for 3, 6, 9 months a year. Like that's just kind of how it
Right.
goes, right? Oh, I forgot,
Yeah.
man. Forget all of that. He called me back within 10 minutes. Bro, the money's ready. You're the guy. You're in. Are you down? I mean, so like you said, that morning at 9 o'clock had nothing. By 12 o'clock, I had everything we needed. And that started this whole thing of coaching, doing soul care for pastors, leaders. So now what, like you said, what I'm doing is way beyond the scale of what I was doing in one local church in a neighborhood in Baltimore. As
Yeah.
much as I love that, I love my people, love what we did there, but that was a seed
Yeah.
of what I think God was plotting and planning for me to be able to do. So I still care for those people, still have influence there. But man, coming back here, the lifestyle I have and the impact I have are now together. Versus before, it was impact, but it's a grind. It's a grind. We going through it. Now I've been able to blend lifestyle and impact, and it's created a new set of categories that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah. I love it. And just in the few minutes we have left, talk about Maroon House, talk about the impact now, because you're coaching specific kind of pastors, but you're not just coaching in the faith-based community, you're now coaching in the business world,
That's
which
right.
people don't realize. For any pastors that listen, like, listen, there's so much you can,
Overlap,
like,
man.
yes, there's so much overlap that we don't really realize when we're just kind of sitting in the faith-based world,
That's right.
all the things that business owners have to do that we can help, that we had to do, but it just was called something different, right?
That's right.
But talk to us a little bit about Maroon House and kind of your vision and kind of what you're doing today.
Yeah. So Maroon House came out as a result of planting in Baltimore. And while we were planting, obviously you get guys, just like I came to you back in 2011 or whatever, was asking questions. There were others that would come behind me going, how did y'all survive? How did you raise the money? How did y'all plant this, start this, create that? Where did you do all of these things? So there began to be an ecosystem of relationships of guys just asking questions. The other piece was soul care. Man, I'm stressed out. I'm overwhelmed. I'm anxious. I'm depressed. I don't know who to talk to. Nobody understands the pressures that I'm dealing with. And so that was the inception of Maroon House, which is kind of a community of rebel pastors. They just don't fit the mold, and they refuse to be pigeonholed into any one category. And so we've created a safe space. That's why it's a house of formation and kind of direction and care for them. And out of that, man, we've hosted retreats the last 5 years or so, and we've built this ongoing community and conversation so that these guys can think clearly. They know that they're not alone, and they can get care for their souls.
Yeah.
Those just questions and stuff that we begin to answer help me to remember, bro, this doesn't just apply to pastors. So much of what I had to read to understand how to be successful at church planting was business books, was leadership development books. And then what I was doing was weaving soul care in the midst of that. And what I realized was a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, community leaders, artists, advocates, a lot of these kind of influential people, man, they're going, Charlie, I might be successful, but I don't know how to live an integrated life. Oh, that's our specialty, is helping you to integrate your life before God and with other people.
Yeah.
Like you got questions about, man, I don't know how my marriage is gonna work out. Oh, bro, I got skills in that area, and I can come alongside you to help clarify your vision, help define your rhythms of your life, help you take bold action, and then to help you persevere. That's my framework, the VRAP framework: vision, rhythm, action, and perseverance. Man, I can help you walk that out in business or ministry life.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets the tone for the work we're doing now.
Yeah, man, that is so good, and I love it. And I mean, that community is straight fire. I've been able to be a part of some of that, And I think it's one of the things that I often talk about, like with leaders. There's the like we're human beings first,
Mm-hmm.
human doing second. Now, Genesis, it has both of those. Genesis 1, 2, 3. Like, hey, the be part and the do. God gave us something to do, but first and
That's right.
foremost, we're to be. And part of that be doing is working on it and working in it. And sometimes, just from personal standpoint, sometimes the work that we're doing in it is important, and we need to be intentional and strategize it and be strategic about that. But we also have to take the time, soul care, to work on us.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so we have to think about rhythms, disciplines, friendships, community. And it's
That's
not
right.
just about the fruit work. We have to do the root work, right?
That's right.
And that's what I love about what you're doing. Man, Charlie, it's been great. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Oh
A
man.
couple little things. This is kind of the a bonus round.
Come on, Doc.
What's one leadership lesson you'd put on a bumper sticker?
Bro, I was thinking about that. One of the biggest ones that comes to mind, and you were the one that put me onto it when you were doing all your work. Trauma that's not transformed is transferred.
Mm,
And that was a gem you dropped on me that I've dropped on others that has been repeated over and over again. So
yeah,
I know that works. So trauma that's not transformed will be transferred.
yeah,
And that's a lot of the work we've done, whether in ministry, business, family, relationships. Yo, deal with the root work,
yeah,
and then you'll have more impactful fruit work, right?
yeah,
But man, you got to deal with that stuff that's going on the inside so you can maximize your potential. Yep.
yeah. If we don't, I got that from on site and just doing some deep work, and we have this internal scramble, right? And we're trying to get everybody to answer yes in our what we our primal questions, right? And
Yep.
when it's a no or a maybe, we just scrambling,
That's
right?
right.
And so helping us understanding who we are, the trauma, the little Charlie that's still with you, the little B that's still inside of me,
That's right. That's
the
right.
kid, the
That's right.
kid's going to always still be there.
That's
And
right.
sometimes we have to stop and acknowledge, like, yo, that was great. You survived. Good job. Now we got to move on.
That's right.
And so that's so good, man. What's a failure? I put it in quotes. What's a
Mhm.
failure you're now grateful for?
That's a great question, Doc. A failure I'm now grateful for.
What seemed like a failure in the moment, what seemed like a loss in the moment, or maybe it really was, but now you're like, oh my gosh, without that, I wouldn't have the perspective. I wouldn't be here today. Wouldn't be the man I am today.
Oh, bruh. I mean, I posted a little bit about it today. I posted a little bit about it today. I just been thinking about it a lot lately. But just a failure, I think, was trusting the wrong people
Mm,
and giving them your heart, your soul, your relationship, all of
mm,
that stuff, and thinking they would do for you the same that you would do for them,
mm,
right? And so those are the worst. But without that betrayal, I wouldn't be where I am.
mm,
Without that disappointment, I
mm,
wouldn't have the maturity, the experience, and I would not be able to bring the comfort to
mm.
others in the way that I am
Yeah,
today. And
yeah,
so I hate, you don't want to go through that. Like
no,
nobody should have to. I hope my kids don't have to go through these levels of betrayal, disappointment. As leaders, we're gonna have people that we invest in, we care for, we gave huge opportunity to, and they're gonna be the one with the knife in their hand.
yeah,
And that sucks. But without it, man, the my capacity to provide care, comfort, and clarity to those people who are currently bleeding,
mm,
second to none.
yeah,
Second to none. And
yeah,
so that, that's where I go, man, it was a failure. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I see where I did too much. Charlie assumed too much there. Now I'm grateful. It's not calluses.
Yeah.
It's just scars. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I can tell the story, but also be able to reap fruit from that level of pain and disappointment.
Yeah. You'd think of if anybody would have had a pass on having to experience betrayal, it would have been Jesus.
Come on, man. That's right.
Right. And yet he was the perfect friend, the perfect leader, the perfect companion, the
Come on, man.
perfect brother, the perfect son. And yet we see at the end of his earthly life the betrayal that he had to live with, man.
I mean, at scale. I mean, the crowds, his friends, and Judas. Everybody focuses on Judas,
Yeah.
but Peter looking him in the eye and saying, I never knew the guy.
No,
the
man.
crowds turning on him. So, yeah, at scale, there's no place where he was not betrayed. And you just kind of go, oh, if Jesus is getting betrayed, I'm just letting you know. None of us are the perfect sons, fathers, so you know,
No.
friends, all the
Like,
things
okay.
we're not nowhere close. So you're gonna get betrayed, but just know you got a friend that understands it when it does happen.
Yeah. We don't get to be the martyr of betrayal.
That's right.
No, there's only one who got to be that. That was Jesus, man. So here's one last one. What's your walk-up song, Charlie? When the masses are crying for you, when you're walking into your house, what's your walk-up song, man?
All right, so y'all gonna forgive me. Y'all know I'm a pastor and everything, but it's not gonna be a Christian song. So, Big Time by Rick Ross. Big Time, TYME. All right, so that's my song. If I need motivation in the morning, and I'm going down the road and I'm about to speak or something like that, just know I'm playing Big Time to get me in the right headspace to say, Charlie, no, we're not going to play small today, baby.
That's right.
Big time.
We're going big time.
That's right.
Love it, man. That is so good. Hey, last thing, man, what would you tell somebody, a leader that might be, I don't know, might be stuck, might be thinking about transition, might be thinking about, man, is this the end? Do I stay with it? Do I get out? Like, just what's one thing you could leave with them, help them take their next best step?
I think the one thing is, if you feel stuck, it's not failure. And so sometimes I think we feel like, man, I feel stuck. I don't have clarity about what's next and how to transition. That's not failure. That's your humanity, because you don't have all the answers. Here's what I would say: embrace your humanity in the not knowing, and then go back to the beginning of this conversation. Get curious again. Do not let fear stop you from asking new and fresh questions. Like we said again, 2 words: what if? Hey, what if this is not the end? What if there's a bigger and better opportunity? What if from this we went 10x? What if from this we went 2x? What if, so there's a lot of ways you can go, but it is not a period, it's just a comma. So if you feel stuck, that's just being human. That's not failure. Yeah. Everybody feels stuck at a crossroads and don't know which way to go. That's all right. The ones that prove their leadership over time to have the greatest impact, the greatest influence, you know what they do? They say, man, you know what? What if? What if we plotted a new course and crafted a new vision forward? And that's what's going to bring some new, fresh vision to you. So put some wind in your sails and get your head up off the ground and looking forward again.
Man, that's so good. Charlie, thanks, man, for coming on today, hanging out with us in the locker room.
Yes, sir.
If you enjoyed, if there was something that you listened, that you heard that might be helpful, share this episode with a friend, subscribe, and thanks for coming, hanging out with us today in the locker room. Charlie, God bless, man. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
All right, man.